Okay, there we go. Nice. Okay, yeah, nice. It's not doing what it was doing before. Okay, perfect. Y'all can see the schedule, right? Or like the Word document.
Yeah, I can.
Cool. All right. Somebody gonna talk. All right. Feel free to ask any questions. Feel free to comment anything. You can stop at any time. You don't have to raise your hand or anything. Just literally interrupt me, and then we can go right back on. I'm fine with that. Last time we had like 10 people in the call, so everyone was really nice with listening, and I really appreciated that. But it's not like a requirement. Just for the new people here. So this was done by the request of Quintina. She's one of my favorites. She's out in Houston. She's doing wholesaling, and she's got a little bit of a hectic life, so she wanted to know how to make a better schedule. So I just kind of made her this. And we're going to start with it by giving it an acronym, because acronyms are pretty memorable, and it's FREE, F-R-E-E. Your schedule should do that. It should free you. Your schedule should not bind you. People that don't follow their schedules typically, I know I'm not the best example right now, but I am doing the stream, but typically they don't follow the mentality of feeling free. They typically feel like it's a burden on them, and it should not feel like a burden. So you gotta practice frequency, relaxation, entertainment, and empowerment. If you can make your schedule include all of those, you'll be doing great. So I'm gonna just start reading it. We must have a good schedule in order to get good deals and in order to build ourselves as people. In order for this to work to the highest degree, you must follow some natural rules of the body and nature. And then I'm going to go over an ideal schedule, somewhat similar to mine, a little bit different, but pretty similar to mine. So an ideal schedule without work or kids would look like the following. Obviously, if you have work the same day, you're not going to be able to follow the schedule like this. You're going to have to modify it. You're going to have to look into what you can do. Just get whatever marketing you can get done. Do whatever you can do for the day, whether it be pulling lists or just sending out emails, trying to find buyers or whatever you can do on that day. It's hard. I've done that. When I started wholesaling, I was working full time and it was miserable. So you wake up at 6 or 10 a.m. preferably. This is all based on the circadian rhythm. So if you're like, wow, I'm not following this at all, you're probably a little bit out of your circadian rhythm. And I was actually I can't technically say professional, but I was a health coach for 3 years before. So I really worked with helping people get better in life. And that's exactly what you need to do is if you want to be a good wholesaler, you got to be on schedule and you got to be healthy and you got to actually kind of working. You can't just completely let your health go while you're trying to pursue a deal, because as soon as you do that, then you spend all your money on stuff to feel better from feeling bad from wholesaling, and that should not be the cycle. That's a very, very vicious cycle that I wish I had a picture of. But 10 to 11:30 usually is prepping the day, and I usually like to start eating that during that time. That's one of the best times actually to get food in your body. And a big tip here, I'm going to add tip: most should be eaten now. So it's hard to do, and I know it's kind of counter to a lot of people, but most of your food should actually be consumed before you start marketing and going all in on everything else, because one, it's going to distract you, but two, if you eat too late in the night, it actually hurts your sleep. Like, that's been proven. I don't need to really prove that, but definitely if you can eat more earlier in the day, you'll feel better and not eat as much later in the day. So that's like a life hack for you. And then 11 to 12:30, I recommend working out. For prepping for the day, I typically just look through all my emails. I check on any lists. I go through any government lists I got. I check and see if my VA, got any good texts or anything back. It all depends on yourself. But typically, it's like you're starting to get into the mode day. Like, it's that start of the day. And then 12:30 to 1, I'm checking messages and pulling lists, usually pulling lists specifically from this. It does not take long to pull lists when you get really good at it. And if you have a software, X Leads, Deal Machine, anything like that, you'll be able to learn how to pull a list in like less than 10 minutes for sure. It's just what kind of list you want where is the question. And the more lists you pull, the better you get at it. The government lists are going to be the hardest. I actually have that as no list, but most worthwhile. And you still have to filter, and we will make I already thought about next week's. We're gonna make how to get a good list will be the topic, and how to go through and actually filter out a list. Ty Flick with Rick is an expert at this. I've seen him do it so many times with different lists, and he's posted hundreds. So, oh, somebody's saying something. I think that's just background. Okay. He's really good at it. Once you get good at it, you can filter it way more to where it goes from calling, your list, you have to call 4,000 people to now you're calling like 1,500 people. And those 1,500 are the actual cream of the crop. And then so after one, when you're done checking and pulling lists, 1 to 8, you're just marketing. You're straight up calling sellers, driving for dollars. You're doing whatever you can to basically get in front of a seller or a buyer. Now, it doesn't, some people are a little bit different in the wholesaling world about this. They think that, buyers are better to find and they like buying dispo or getting dispos and building buyer networks more than finding sellers. I find it's way better to have the skill to talk to sellers in the background. So if you're not good at it, always learn how to buy or get sellers so that when you have those buyers later, you can just make money whenever you need it. I mean, we all dream of literally being able to just like, make 10K whenever we want. Like it's not that easy. Obviously, you have to do things, but it's a skill that you have to learn. Now, here's a crazy one you might not have heard before, but try not to eat after 5 p.m. That's going to interrupt your sleep cycle and your circadian rhythm. So if it's already kind of thrown off, if you're like, whoa, bro, I'm not getting up at 6 to 10 a.m., that's not happening. This can help right here, just alone that. It kind of also helps you enter more of an intermittent fasting state, so you'll be actually better in the morning for when you do it. Now, if you have some kind of restriction, you have to do it, absolutely go ahead, do it. But typically humans work best when we're not eating when it's dark out. That's the rule. The golden rule is if it's dark outside, try not to eat. And it's really hard to do. And I'm a hypocrite too. I do it too, like everyone kind of does it. But at least try to do minimal. And I'll actually add a tip right now too. If you do fruit or smoothies, it's going to go through your system a lot better. So that's a great tip to do. It's not gonna bother your body as much at night, and you won't. With fruit, you will be a little wired from the sugar, but overall, you'll be able to digest it way easier than you would something else. So like junk food, big no go. 7 to 9, studying and reviewing the day and spending time with friends or family and having fun or playing games or doing anything. This is the reward right here. This is like why we do everything, right? Is we want to be able to do the things we want to do. Whether you have a spouse and you want to spend time with your wife or your husband, whether you have some friends that you really wanted to hang out with, like this is the time to reach out to people and either have whatever fun you want to do. It could be on a game, you could play League of Legends or something. I probably shouldn't call out specific games, but any kind of game, whatever it is. Uh, or if it's a sport or reading or anything. This is you got to give yourself 2 hours because I've been on just purely the grind before, and it burns you out so quick in wholesaling. You can't even imagine it. Literally, if anyone's there, you kind of know what I'm talking about, where they're just working all day, all like every day. You don't really have any incentive to do it for very long, even if you get money. And if you don't get money, that's the worst case. Like, because then you're just going to be burnt out and you have nothing to show for it. So give your dopamine reward system at the end of the day, not at the start of the day. Do not begin it with Facebook and YouTube or social media or anything. Don't do that. Just spend it at the end of the day doing what you would have done. Now, with those apps specifically, I will give tips probably too on the next one. I was already kind of thinking about that and made notes on my notebook, so I'm going to show how to. This isn't a productivity thing. This is just a schedule. This isn't how to be productive. This is a schedule. This is just to get you to start being a little bit productive and consistent in your life. And then the latest you should be by bed is 11, and I'll even add a caveat, except cheat days. Because if you want, you can have a cheat day, but no more than one cheat day. Because that will really hurt your system if you're going to bed super late. And the best time to interact with sellers is between 8 to 6 p.m. It's just the golden period. Now, usually in the morning, it's better to do driving for dollars because they'll notice all the stickies, like the stickies when you do it. And at night, it's typically better to do cold calling. But it kind of just matters where you're at in the area. I've noticed with like townhomes, it's way better to call actually earlier in the morning because it's a bunch of old people and they'll answer whenever and they're usually not up as late. So it just kind of matters. All right, so tips for a good schedule. keep an accountability ledger where you mark each day with what you have, and then tally the marks. I don't know. Yes, I do. Okay. We're gonna go. Okay, so I'm gonna show you just one of my pages if it'll let me do it on stream. I haven't tried this yet, but I'm gonna show like who I am. Nice, awesome. Okay, it's not showing though. No, it's showing. Kinda. It's it's kind of blocked. Okay, but this is kind of like an activity log, or you can have another one where like it was a lazy day. Don't judge me, but like where you're doing tally marks for every calls you're doing and contacts you're doing. I know those are weak numbers, but that's typically something really good I've done, and you want to make it with any money producing activity. So if you are, you know, driving for dollars, write driving for dollars, write the time, or write how many houses you do, whatever your key point index or your key performance indicator is, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. Whatever is going to make you money, you should write down. Write down like, hey, I actually called 3 sellers today that were interested, and then write down their numbers, for example. Or say that this person said yes, I'm going to do that, and then you go and you like, I'm going to go run a comp on that property, and you're gonna go run it. And then I'd like to also write goals down. That's a really good thing to do, is just write down your goals for the next day. That's a good way to end it. So just any kind of accountability ledger, and that's what this is talking about. Just anything that makes you money should go on this. And I've heard real estate investors that literally only changed that in their business, and they basically got like 3 times the money because they figured out what was making them money and what was not making them money, and they focused all in on the things that were making them money. And I've met quite a lot of real estate investors. I met a lot of wholesalers, but I have met so many real estate investors. It's kind of insane. It's like hundreds, if not thousands. So they're good people learning from. Magnesium, it can help you sleep better if you have a hard time sleeping. That's a good note for your schedule, because if you can't go to bed by 11, you're going to have to figure a way to make yourself kind of go to bed earlier. And magnesium, they have sleepy and non-sleepy versions. Do that, but not, oh, I should add a tip. Don't get hooked on it. Okay. Or just follow the instructions with it, because some people get dependent on magnesium, and then if you can only fall asleep with magnesium, now you're in a bad spot. You don't want that. You want it to help you, not to chain you up and not let you get actual sleep unless you have it. You don't want to become dependent. Okay, so you should follow the free model and be that. A schedule should be free, should free your time up, not restrain it. If you think a schedule means less freedom, you are in a bad mindset. And I really can't emphasize that mindset enough. It's just so important, because I had very hard times getting on a schedule and a set way for a very long time, most of my life, honestly, until I was like 2 years ago. And then I had work, obviously, I could follow work, I could go be an employee, but being your own schedule counter is so important. It's just, you have to have the mindset too that it will help you, it will free you, it will do you good. If you think going into it, it's not going to help me, it's going to help, it's going to prevent me from doing the things I want to do, then you're already set it up for failure. So explaining a little bit more frequency, make sure you consistently do the schedule as close as you can to following it. Relaxation, small breaks are always okay in a schedule if they do not distract you. So you have to have relaxation. If you're super stressed out, go take a little walk. Go 5, 10, 15 minutes, go take a walk. Go get some water, go to use the bathroom, go do what you don't want to do. Some people say it'll take you out of the zone, it'll take you out of, I'm trying to remember the name for that. It's like the hyper focus mode. I forget what that's called, but it'll come back to me. But basically, it'll take you out of that. This is what people say, but realistically, it won't. Your brain can handle going away for 5 minutes or 10 minutes on a walk, and you'll actually come back. And I find I work better when I go on a little walk and come back, especially if it's like cool outside. It's very nice. All right, entertainment. We come from a society of dopamine. Always have entertainment as a part of the schedule, but only after earned. That's the most key part here. I'm gonna bold this. only after earned. If you start the day with dopamine, your day is over. If you start the day not knowing what you're going to be doing, the day is over. You should know what you're going to be doing, and you should know when you're going to be getting the reward for your brain. Your brain wants rewards. It's so hard in this society to avoid that you have to kind of schedule it out. If you can off put being on Facebook or Instagram or anything till or video games until 8 p.m. because you say, hey, I'm going to cold call this the 6 hours before then your brain will be like, all right, I'm going to go cold call. It'll be okay with it. It will allow it way more than if you just say, hey, I'm going to go instantly on the game and then I'll go cold call after. You'll get a lot more reps in if you just follow that one rule. And then empowerment, your schedule should have key points on it you follow, but not always the time being rigid. For example, earlier I said, hey, working out at 11, 12, 30, that's what I like doing. If somebody likes it at like 7 or 8 and they want to change that, they should do that. Or if they, like working out at 11, but they didn't get the time in, they should change it over to 7 or 8. Just try and have it not interrupt the other ones as much as you can. It's perfectly okay. It should be empowering and it should make you feel like you are able to get real results and see it. And you're going to get the results after you get enough frequency. And then don't ever stop doing marketing. That's going to be the next part too, but you have to make sure you do marketing every day. That's basically the baseline rule. Is if you're not doing reach out to buyers or sellers, you are not gaining in wholesaling. You're not playing the game. You just aren't. Okay, the 80-20% rule. I totally came up with this. This one I take a little credit for. Not the 80-20%. That's like an old thing, but like this specific version of it.
Not hearing
80% of your
anything.
time in wholesaling should be spent marketing and talking to either buyers or sellers. 20% of your time should be spent doing everything else: pulling lists, networking with other wholesalings, emailing, looking at markets, or learning. If you can follow that formula right there, and then you stay consistent and you have a good schedule, you will succeed in wholesaling. It's just almost a guarantee. I don't know if Zach says it more than I do, but I have never known somebody that actually goes out there and does actual marketing like all the time and doesn't succeed. Like they just do. All right, so that's the first one. I will open the board up. Does anyone have any questions?
I have a general question,
Yes.
but it's not regarding about this. But I love it. I love this about, especially about the mentality and
Mhm.
everything and schedule. It's just more of a question for texting.
Okay.
Because since I'm doing virtual wholesaling and I'm utilizing cold tools.
Mhm.
Uh, for texting, I'm not really sure how to go about that.
Which tool are you using?
I'm using cold tools.
Oh, you're using call tools. Okay, I have not used that one personally. If anyone else has experience, they should help out Jay. Um, because I use personally Xleads and Mojo Dialer right now, and I'm also next month do Deal Machine. So I've been experimenting a little bit, and I use Google
Mhm.
Voice. Are you having problems just you can't send messages, or is it that you're not getting response back?
Oh no, no, no. It's just that I'm having trouble. Like what do you call this? Um, doing the texting because like it's not my personal number. Like,
Hmm.
I don't know how to go about it. Like, I just don't know.
Yeah, okay, okay. Yeah, you seem very confused. DM me a bit about it afterwards. I can help you a bit more with that. But what I'll say for now is that I have a VA that texts for me, but I began with Google Voice texting. And you typically can only send out so many texts an hour, usually 5 to 10 on Google Voice or on something else. Usually you can only send so many how it goes. With that specific software, typically you have a linked number that's like a different number than your actual personal phone like you have, and that can be done through a different couple means, and then that will send out voice message or that will send out text messages. I meant, and you can just kind of go and see the results on there. With Google Voice, it's just you link it up to your normal personal phone, but you do have to be in the USA for that. If you are not, I'm sorry, but like that's just kind of how that is. You can also get people to help you from the USA, get Gmails and stuff like that for it. That one's a little bit easier. I would have to look into specifically how Cold Call works. But yeah, that's like just DM me after it and we'll help figure it out so I can get you sending some messages. And I would recommend if you're going to be sending text messages, try and shoot for at least 40 or 50 a day. But
40 or
like
50 days.
yeah, 40 to 50 a day at least. Because that way, if you're doing 10 per hour, it's kind of hard to remember to do it every hour. So you just send like 5 to 10 1 hour, and then next hour you do it, and then you might have an hour or two between where you don't. And then, yeah, you just kind of go from there. All right, we're going to go
Yeah,
over the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, I definitely want to talk more about it after this.
Yeah, and you can feel free to ask anybody in the general chat too. I know you're new, so I'm like, we'll be very, very like helping and accommodating to basically get you started however you want to. So I'm going to change screens over.
Thank you.
Of course. Cold calling 101. This one I spent a little bit of time on. That's why I was a little late. Um, it's it's beautiful. No, I could have spent more time on it. Next time I'm gonna make these more than just key points of what I want to do before I actually get this. But I'm calling it cold calling for 101 for the universe and for money. Uh, because that's just kind of how I roll. So we're gonna go over some terms so you guys can understand uh, different things that we talk about in here. KPI, key performance indicators, which in cold calling is contacts, offers made, and calls made. Those are the three things you need to be recording all of the time. With texting, that's not really technically cold calling, but I mean some people argue that, but basically that's just how many texts you sent and what responses did you get. So there's dialers, which is a software used to assist in wholesaling cold calling, such as Mojo Dialer, Deal Machine, or Xleads, or free Google Voice, which is recommended, especially for
Excuse me?
starters. Oh, yes.
Yeah, about the KPI,
Uh-huh.
that's like a CRM, huh?
You can do it. Do you remember the activity book I showed you earlier? It's kind of old school, bro, but like I just, because I'm making calls anyways, right? So if I make a
Hmm.
call, I just do a dash. Like it's too hard to write down like, more than a dash, but I just do a dash. It's like after every call. And then I do it with contacts and I do it with calls. And it's also good to do it with offers made if you're getting a lot of offers. I also
Is
write
it
down the
isn't
off. Wait, what?
isn't that gonna be like too much for like isn't it like hard to remember all the numbers and like all the stuff that you write down?
I mean, only if you're like writing down the actual things. Like the with dashes, you can usually do like four, and then you do the five to the dash. So they're really easy to count at the end of the day. Like I just take a second and like count.
Okay. Now I get
Yeah,
it.
yeah. You see what I'm saying? Like the little I like I can kind of do it where it's like I, and then you get the
Yeah,
dash through them like
I
that.
get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I just do that. That's the easiest way to start. If you want to set up like a Podio for CRM, you can do that later. But the big thing is action now. You want action as soon as possible, and this specific one is made for newer wholesalers, so they just need to get going. You need to be able to just get some action in, and that's something that Rick told me about, and I was like, oh, I'm just gonna start doing that. Like that's just it sounds easy. One thing I will add as a little caveat: I also bring a different notebook, so I have two. I bring a different notebook for driving for dollars, and the driving for dollars one is basically you drive around and you look for really distressed households, and you write down the address of the place. If it looks like the house is really broken down, and then later on you go and you look up the name and true or the property and true people search, and you run it, and then you get the name and the number from there, and then you call, and then you just see, hey, are you willing? I also leave a sticky note on the door when I do that. It's like kind of like double tapping it. So when you do that, you're like it's really easy to get deals doing that. That's how I got quite a lot of leads when I was in Spokane. I can't do it anymore, but like that's a great way to do it. All right, so first things first, the burning question: how many cold calls to get a deal? Simple. Zach has estimated 3,500, and it's dang near guaranteed. But that number is different for everybody, and that's what you need to know. My first one was literally within 200, so it just depends. It really depends. Some it's 100, some it's 1,000. It's based on list quality, the type of deal leads, how good you are, which improves over time. And we'll talk a little bit about how good you are later. That's most wholesalers I've noticed that cold call for a while really underestimate their how, like the difference that they've made since when they first started cold calling, like the first 10 afterwards, and then like how they are now. You get so much better every 100 that it's almost exponential, to be honest. It really is. Like every couple of hundred, you become so much more steeled and resistant to what people are gonna say or the good or the bad, and you just it becomes a habit. So, all right. And now I stood up here for the universe, and we're gonna follow that. So as I said before, am a health coach, and I kind of grill people a little bit on this, but just something I'm gonna do. This is something only I provide, and only I'm gonna be able to talk about. I'm not selling anything, don't worry. This is just some my own caveat to wholesaling and real estate investing. Most wholesalers are obsessed with one thing, and that's sadly money. I operate on a fundamentally different program. I'm here to improve the world to the best of my ability. I believe that will, in return, give me money later. So I've met so many real estate investors. Oh God, guys, it's too many, and they are so sickly looking. Half of them that I not all of them. It's like 99% are bad, and then 1% are like just kind of gym bros. And then that's pretty much the ratio. They look less stressed and they are actually healthier than most people just because they don't have bills like normal people. They own properties. Like they you know what I'm saying? Like when you don't have stress about bills, your life's a little bit better. But if you can take the money you get from wholesaling and invest it in yourself and your health, you will see so many good returns. Like this is what I learned because I had the health coaching upbringing. So I was like, okay, I can turn this into literally making myself better overall. So in order to last in wholesaling, you need to be a marathon runner. You need to be able to be in it for the long haul. But if you're sick, dying, or unwell, it becomes hard. So being healthy is in your best interest to save on medical bills, to have energy, and to get more deals. So I'm basically forward from every point on the stream. I'm going to bring up two things, the health and the morality. And it's going to be a smaller section. Today's a little bit bigger. But I'm just going to give one health tip that I hope everybody follows and one morality tip because I want people to be nice people. And from that, people can do what they want, and I will present the rest of the information. Like I'm just doing it just because I actually care about you, like all of you, like I do. Like I care about all the people I'm gonna be talking to, and I care about people in general. I feel empathy. I want them to not be sick, and I mean it just sucks to sound like, hey, I got all this money now, but I can't go on the trips I want to go on because I'm sick, or now I'm just like totally doing things that I wouldn't have been doing. Like I've seen it a lot. I have seen it way too many times, and I really wish I didn't. But morality is my own twist. So is the health one. But because I like people to that do not be bigots or to not be total bigots to each other. And if I'm going to teach you how to be a wholesaler, I'm going to teach you how to be well off in life. Why would I not just show you one? Why would I show you one small piece of wholesaling instead of the rest of the puzzle? That ain't right. My best, one of my best people that I've ever had for JVing actually experienced pretty hard racism. And a lot of wholesalers were overlooking that person because of their own innate biases. And that is wrong. Like, it's just wrong. You need to be able to, and it doesn't just boil down to that, but you need to be able to not judge people and to live a well life and to treat others well. And if you do that in this business, you will do way better in the long run. Yeah, you might get with some people that are shady in the beginning and do well to begin with, but I'm trying to be a marathon runner. I don't know about all you. I mean, yeah, maybe some of you just want $100,000 and you're out. That's fine. If you want to do that route, do that route. But I'm hoping that I see anybody that watches this or anybody that hears me right now and 10 years later from saying, hey, you gave me this one advice piece. It really helped. I'm still doing it. We're still going good. Hey, I have a deal. Would you want to do GV? I mean, that's just amazing. That makes me smile. That really does. So the biggest health tip for today is take spirulina. I'm not going to recommend any specific brand. This is just a generic one I found online. So uh, you can find it at most health food stores and some even at bigger box stores. And I know the ultimate one. I know the best. But anyways, what is it? Why am I bringing this shit up in wholesaling? Why? What even? Why is this important now? And it's made up of a single super ingredient, which is the ultimate 100% organic spirulina on Earth, from the same source as the ultimate meal, which is one that I took. But why? Because spirulina is an algae and is one of the oldest natural sources of food and dense nutrition on Earth. However, due to rampant pollution worldwide, ours has been grown in strictly controlled ponds. That's where it's all grown now. It's very unrestricted pawns, resulting in the first and ultimate superfood, due to the following reasons. It's the ultimate source of protein, the ultimate source of beta-carotene. It's one of the two ultimate sources of cholesterol. I'm a little bit bad with pronouncing that one. One of the few ultimate sources of essential omega fatty acids. One of the ultimate sources of anti-inflammatory agents, and one of the ultimate builders of the immune system. And the ultimate source of B complex, including active human 12B12, which is very hard. You usually have to supplement for it, making it one of the only ones from a plant source. Meaning, if you ever eat bad food, junk food, let's say, I wish I could grill Andre for the stream, but he's not on today because he is. He is. Hello, I'm gonna grill you right now. This man is getting McDonald's and he needs to quit this. Yeah. It's so funny.
Don't put it on me. Yeah.
I'm grilling you right now. It's okay. But you need to get some
Speaking
of
of which,
this.
where is
Wait, what?
Azul?
Azul, I don't know. He did. I messaged him. He didn't show up. So he must be busy.
Okay.
Military stuff. I'll send a
Okay.
recording to him individually though. But yeah, this was something, bro. That I would highly recommend. You can get it. I mean, even at Walmart. That's a little secret. You can even get this stuff at Walmart. If you take this whenever you take any junk food, you don't feel that crash, that lethargia. You don't feel the bad once you take spirulina as much. So if you could get that in your system, you will be able to do more deals because you will have a lot more energy and you will actually feel better. It's so hard to talk to dealers when you feel like crap. I don't know, or not dealers, but sellers, if you've ever done that. I've literally been sick on the phone before, almost vomiting, trying to talk to sellers, and this is the worst thing in the world. It is literally horrible. I mean, that was a bit of an extreme, but like, you don't want to do it. So there's the health bit. Just try spirulina, look it up. Don't take my word for it. Just go look it up. It's amazing. It changed my life. And that's the end of that one. The second one, super short, is just the basis of morality, natural law. And I'm going to explain what natural law means. I'll just explain the definition, then we're moving on. It's natural, inherent, having a basis in nature, reality, and truth, not made or caused by humankind. Law means an existing condition which is binding and immutable, cannot be changed. That's all natural law is. I'm going to refer to it a lot more in the upcoming streams. I'm going to be giving all the principles out over time, and I'm going to try and teach people how to respect each other and basically go be good people. I'm not saying anyone in here isn't. I'm just saying I want people to be good people working with me and around me, and if I can help kind of foster that environment, I'm going to do it. All right, so we're going to get some frequently asked questions. Do I need a virtual number in order to start cold calling? No, but it really helps. I recommend Google Voice, as I said, starting to, so that you can separate your phone number, your personal phone. So get whatever kind of dialer you can if you can. If you can't, it's okay. You can do a deal. That's part of the no. You can do a deal on your personal phone, but if you are contacting a lot of leads, it's going to be very hard over time, and you just don't want to do it.
Excuse me?
Wait, what?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay, so right now if you have that number that you're talking about, whenever say like they don't the homeowner doesn't answer and they want to call you back, do you put your other number or do you use the same
I
number?
use the same number personally. You can do either. If it's a hot lead and you've talked to them once before and you've already qualified them, which we're going to talk about the qualifying a seller a little bit later. If you've qualified them, then you can leave them a personal number and tell them, hey, this is my work number. This is or I normally use. I called you on. If you want to get direct hold of me because you think, hey, they're definitely going to sell their house, call me at whatever your personal number is. I have done that when I've made some relationships that are pretty good with the seller. That's typically after you build rapport and you know, like, hey, they're gonna go, but they're gonna call me back tomorrow.
I thought
Mhm.
I'm sorry, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, but typically you can do either.
I thought the number, so if I get a number from Exley's, right, I thought it changes like every time you call every time you call.
Some softwares do, some don't. It typically it only changes for the other ones when it gets marked as spam. So, and it leads back to a linked number, so it leads back to your personal number. Google Voice is a separate number, if that makes sense. So you have at that point you have two numbers. You have your personal number and your dialer number like Google Voice. Whereas if you have X leads, or Deal Machine, it will give out infinite numbers basically that link back to your personal, so that you have one phone number that's your personal, and then you have like 1,000 that are different random numbers, just so you can keep
What is?
calling.
I'm sorry for asking a lot of questions.
No,
I
you're good,
just
man. No, no, no. That's why we're here.
what does it mean? It's linked to your number. So right now, if they call that number, it automatically gets connected to your
Yes, exactly.
number.
It shows on their side that they're calling your X leads number that you called them on, but it will link and it will go to your personal phone number, and you can answer it like you would any phone call from any of your contacts.
Oh, okay, okay, okay. That makes
Yeah,
sense now.
yeah, absolutely, man. No
Thank you.
worries. Yes, of course. So next frequently asked question: I've done 1,000 phone calls. Isn't that enough? Okay, so that's a great question. But maybe you may have actually already had a few deals that you went through, but you were not skilled enough at the time to process or navigate the deal. So this is one part I've heard a lot of people talking about with phone calls, especially people that are more veteran. They'll get into the game, they'll do a lot of phone calls, and then they think, hey, I made 1,000 phone calls. How come I didn't get a deal within that one? I mean, honestly, like I said, the number up there, if you want to guarantee a deal, is 3,500. And the average deal, just because I know the last people weren't on this stream, the average deal in wholesaling is worth around 15K. So it takes about 3,500 calls to make $15,000 on average. That's an industry average. So the thing about that though is the first 1,000 calls you made are very much different than the next 1,000 calls you will make, and it's not even really debatable. It's a complete confidence thing. You have a way more instilled confidence in you, and even if you can't detect it on yourself because you're saying the exact same script that you started with, the actual tonality and your voice and the projection you make is completely different than the 1,000s
Question.
afterwards. So you have to be cognizant of that. You have to be conscious and aware that, hey, I just put in 1,000, but now I'm 1,000 cold calls better. The next 1,000, I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get a deal. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen right there.
Good
But
question.
that's one thing that a lot of people burn themselves out about worrying. But it's just you don't have to. Okay,
Can you
so
hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. Yes,
Yeah, I have a question.
of course.
For those calls, are
Mhm.
you talking about contacts where you actually had a conversation or
Yes.
just calls?
Yes, contacts. Even if they say no, I count the no as if, because I will be posting the scripts later. But if you have a caller, basically how you start the conversation usually is, "Hi, is this?" I'm going to use somebody as an example. Is this Zana? And then Zana would be like, "Yes, this is her. Who is this?" And I'm like, "Hey, my name is Brandon. Are you the owner of 321 Main Street?" And they'll say yes, and then they'll be a little curious, like, what are you talking about? I was like, "Hi, I'm just interested in seeing you, or I wanted to see if you were interested in buying the property or selling the property, sorry." And then from there, they might just be like, no, and then they might say bad things. It happens sometimes, but usually they're pretty calm and they're like, no, especially over the phone. They're way worse over text, because it's kind of anonymous. But typically, I count that as a contact, a no, because you put in the effort. So this 1,000s, I guess I should add that.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah, because it's just, yeah, so there's that. But if somebody doesn't answer the phone at all, do not count it. And when somebody doesn't answer the phone, we'll talk a little bit more about it later. Typically, what that is another opportunity to call them again, and I will share a tip too, also on how to make to increase the amount the person's will answer more likely, the conversion rate of it, kind of deal, uh, and just get them to pick up. So yeah, that's that.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I have another question.
Of course.
Okay, so right now, when you call a seller
Uh-huh.
and like you call the leads,
Mhm.
the first conversation you have with them is if they want to sell their house, and then you go through the MCTA or MCTP,
Correct.
and then you end the call, then you call them again. Because
Yes. Correct.
the videos I was watching, it's like you do everything in one call, and then in another video, it's like you do it in like three
No,
calls and
no,
then two
yeah, yeah.
calls.
It's typically two or three. It is very rare to get a seller to agree. I mean, think about it like if you own a home. I don't know if you do. If not, I'm not judging anyone that doesn't. But if you own a property and somebody just called you, I mean, how good would that person have to be, and how convincing would they have to be in order for you to trust them to sell, like give you like sell them your house? You know, like that takes a lot of trust out of a person, and typically you can't build that level of trust and rapport in just a single phone call. Yeah, typically they have to digest the information, they have to sit on it, they have to think about it, they have to have you in their subconscious going. Because if it's like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, I've talked to them this once and yeah, yesterday, I'm talking to them again today, they're the same, they're consistent. I feel like I can trust them to help me solve this problem. And because that's what we do, we help solve problems in real estate. That's well as wholesalers. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that should does that answer it?
It kind of does. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're doing local
Mm-hmm.
wholesaling, you call them, you see if they want to sell it, they agree.
Mm-hmm.
You go to their house, you do a
Mm-hmm.
walkthrough, and then you give them the offer right there and then, or do you leave, then
Yeah,
make the offer?
typically, yeah. Typically, I would give the offer there.
Mm.
I would talk to them, qualify them first, and then after you qualify them, you condition them. Which I forgot to put conditioning in this, but yeah. But typically, you condition them, and you will tell them, hey, when I come over on Friday for our appointment, will you just because I don't want to waste your time, I don't want to waste my time.
Yeah.
Are you sure that you're going to be able to sell, or you be willing to sell on that day? You can make a decision for me, and they'll say yes or no. And they'll I've not really gotten many people to say maybe I can make a decision that day. If they're already that indecisive, they're probably not very motivated to sell in the first place, and they're probably
Mhm.
not going to take a lowball offer. So, you got to be a little bit careful with that. And then I always run comps and I know the price I'm at before I go on the appointment. So then I'm armed with the info of like where I want to be. And I always let them speak more. Rick has a great saying where he says that you have two ears, one mouth, use them in that proportion where you hear things twice as much as you talk. You just got to hear these people out because they're typically going through something or they have a problem. I have a deal I'm going through right now where it's two old, not really nice ladies, and basically their whole property that was in their family got burned down, and they weren't living there. Luckily, it's family owned still though, but their whole property got burned down, and they can't emotionally deal with like going back and selling it or doing anything. They grew up when they were 5 years old in this house, so it's very real and surreal to the people. And I can make it so that they don't have to worry about it, and we can just give them the cash, like kind of a deal. They could do it with a realtor too, but they want to do it faster. Um, so that's just some of yeah. That's I think that
And I
answers it.
Thank
chime in
you. Yeah,
2
that
years.
answers the question. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Anthony, what'd you say?
I see. Can I chime in on that?
Oh
Using the 2
yes,
years for a
please.
second. One of the things that I've kind of learned, I haven't obviously done a deal yet, but one thing I've learned is you're wanting the seller to convince you to buy. You don't want to convince the seller to sell to you because that's when you end up losing
Mm-hmm.
the deal.
I think that's pretty good advice. Yes, absolutely. You have to have the utmost trust of this person, and they're not selling to us. You want to be genuine, but you want to make it simple enough to where they think they are just like they know they're selling. But the point for me I always make that has helped me is that I lay out the goalpost that they want to get to, because ultimately they're going to make the decisions. If I talk to them and we're gonna go through it, I'm gonna add it for this. So MCTP: motivation, condition, time, and price. These include questions of why are you thinking to move. So in relation to what we were just talking about, I try to find the goalpost of why, what they're trying to do, what they're thinking, what their plans kind of are, and I'm just trying to connect their goalposts with reality to an offer that I can also make money on, because we are kind of the middlemen, but we are also helping them out solve the problem. So that's a really good question to ask. You can also ask for motivation if it seems like a really good neighborhood, and some sellers lie. I'll be honest to you guys, like they do. They like they sometimes lie. So if like they say everything's really nice and really good and it's such a beautiful house and neighborhood, you can ask them, oh well, it sounds amazing. Why would you move? Why don't you just stay? And that right there will get them to actually reveal their real motivation, because they obviously, if they wanted to stay, they wouldn't be talking to you. So just kind of baiting it out with like, oh, why don't you just stay? It sounds perfect. Like I would love there. Like that'd be great. Kind of a deal. Like, but that's just a little trick I've learned to kind of reveal the motivation when they're just saying it's so much better than it actually is, and they don't want to say their actual thing because. Yet again, we're solving problems, so some people are pretty emotional about their problems, whether it be the fire, like the ladies I described, or somebody that hasn't been paying their mortgage for like 6 months and now has to sell their house in order to like basically not lose the entire house and all their money. I mean, that'd be horrifying. I've not gone through that, but it would be horrifying. And
I have a
then,
question.
yes, of course.
You talked about it earlier about making appointment. How do you
Mhm.
go about it when you're doing it virtually?
Yeah, so if you are doing it virtually, usually it's a sight unseen, but you tell them for the inspection clause in the period that you're going to be sending a handyman out there to be looking over the property. So typically you make the offer when you're virtual before you actually go to like do any kind of appointment or actually see the property. When you're local, you want to go actually see the property so you know what you're working with and you can get the most accurate number and you can kind of connect more. You're going to be able to build way more rapport and trust in person than you ever will be able to virtually, but that doesn't mean you can't do any virtual deals. My deal right now is virtual, for example. um, you you absolutely can say that you're going to schedule an appointment with your handyman for it after you get all the like, things signed, but usually I would just sign it before, and you'll be able to know like how open they are to you virtually wholesaling by their motivation. If their motivation is really high, then they're just gonna, I mean, they're gonna basically want to talk to you. They're really gonna want to work throughout everything. So you just tell them and get it locked up first on the contract, and you kind of explain the process of it beforehand, like, hey, this is how it works. We have a title company, a third party we work with. We're gonna be able to get a contract for you. It's gonna be all legit. You'll be able to sign it, and then we'll send it to the third party title company. They'll run the title. They'll make sure that you're the owner of the house and you actually do in fact own the property and that it's free and clear like you said. And then after that, we can have like my handyman or my best buddy or my family over there, whatever, go in and take photos and just do a quick walkthrough. And then after that, we'll get it bought up for you, like something like that. So you don't actually go on any appointments because you have to go by photos of what other people will take. Sometimes you do have to hire people, which I recommend you do through either Fiverr or Craigslist or Facebook. You can do those three. Sometimes you can find people in like the Flip with Rick channel though, too, that are on the ground or in the area, and you can just send them a little money to go take the photo. If you have to spend 30 40 bucks to have somebody go take some photos for a deal that nets you like $10,000, like it's a really good investment. Real good.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Yes, of course. Any questions anyone ever has, feel free, like I said. And then how is the house looking for the condition? A bonus that I typically ask that not everyone does is ask how the neighborhood is. Don't say for crime, just say, hey, how's the neighborhood? Anything happening around there? You can just kind of insinuate that there's crime. People are aware that crime happens. Everybody fucking knows. Like, it's not, but you don't have to outright call them out. Like, hey, I'm kind of from the Pacific Northwest. Your market will differ too. In the Pacific Northwest, people are a bit more kind of concealed and like cagey with their emotions. They don't really let out and express the truth. But if you talk to somebody in Boston, they you have to be more direct. And we will talk about tonality and kind of matching with the chameleon, how other people talk. But you basically with the Pacific Northwest, it's just like, hey, how's the area? Have you heard anything weird? But if you were in Boston, like talking to somebody that has like you're just very direct, you can be like, hey, how's the fucking crime in that area? And that's it. I shouldn't have cursed, but yeah, that's like you could just straight up be with them, like they don't mind. But typically you want to be a little nuanced. And then time, very important. What plans do you have for after you move? So this is where my process kind of works. I wish I had a visual of a goalpost in here and I could just easily do that. I could probably make flags, but you basically have to line up going through a race, and you have to imagine it where you're going like the first quarter of the race, and then the second half of the race, and the last quarter, and then you're like done, right? So like by the time you're asking them plans of like, because they already said they're interested, which means that they have a need for money. And if they have a need for money, they typically want to do something with the money. So you basically have to tell them, hey, what are your plans do you have for moving? Though I will add this caveat that I didn't think about when I wrote this. if it is specifically a absentee or a landlord, like a rich landlord that wants to get rid of it, the conversation changes. You now are actually asking them, what time are you looking to sell the property? Like how quick, or like what was your plans with that? What would be an ideal situation for you? Because they have a different mindset than the person who, just had their home burned down. Like they have very different motivation, very different ideals. So you got to cater a little bit to who your seller is, but typically if you're working with just a straight up seller that's a normal, pre-foreclosure or government list, or just somebody that wants to sell their house and lives with it, you have to ask them usually plans they have on moving or what they're going to do. You can reword this however you want, but you typically want to know what their plan is so that you can make sure that they get what they need. And then for the price, it's the hardest one. We are going to have a negotiations video coming up in the next stream. I have a couple ideas of all the ones that I wrote down of all the streams I want to have, and price is definitely one of them. A typical, just easy one though is you try and bait the price out of them first, and you say, how much do you need for you to make your plans work? You are no longer asking for them to give you a lowball offer price. You are now asking them how much do they need to actually succeed. And typically when you say that number, they're actually going to be willing to go a little bit lower because, people are kind of shy about money. They're like, well, I guess I could do it with this much. And if it's too much and they say an outrageous number that isn't okay, you can say, my partner, we're not at that stage. We want to help you. We want to get you through it. We were thinking, and then you kind of lowball them a little bit less for that, like even below what you were hoping for. And then they're going to be like, oh, no. And they're going to be a little offended by that. But then you meet in the middle. That's one of my favorite closings, is meeting in the middle. Because that way everyone seems like they won, even though you kind of did it a little bit lower the first time purposely to make it so that the middle wasn't that bad. Because it's like how Zach explains it, is when you try to meet in the middle technique, you basically, your girlfriend's trying to take you out to dinner, and she's like, oh, where should we go to eat? And now she's thinking this nice rib place, or steakhouse or whatever. I'm vegan, but we're gonna use it for the example. She's thinking this nice restaurant down the street, and she says, yeah, I want to go to fancy Zara's or something. And it's expensive, and you're like, all right, well, yeah, I was thinking McDonald's. And you have just so horribly shifted the point of view of what you want in it, that meeting in the middle is like going to like a Senior Froggy or like some kind of like Mexican cheap restaurant that's still good but not like a fancy steak restaurant, if that makes sense to y'all. He explains it a bit better than I do, but with the meeting in the middle, I find it works pretty good. And then right here, this is like the mission goal. Always remember, we are here to help people, so help them. Just do it. Just do it. Just do it. You can't help everybody. There are some people I've met that I knew I could help them a lot with getting what they wanted to do, but we didn't get the rapport, we didn't get the trust, and it just fell through. So they ended up not going with me, and they still haven't sold the property for some of them. I'm sure some of them have, and it's not the right time or place. But if somebody's open to talking to you and does show interest in selling, you can definitely follow up with them. Ask if you built rapport, if you know something about their family, like, hey, they like football, you can ask them, hey, did you see that one game? Or if they like video games and it's like the championship's over, you can be like, oh, that was crazy, like just thinking about you change your mind about selling it all. You can kind of just give them little reminders. Okay, so these are going to be the rules of cold calling. And the first rule, and I cannot emphasize it enough, even though I misspelled enough, is smile. I haven't even been smiling very much for this, but you could probably tell my tone just changed a little bit because I added a smile right there. It is one of the most effective ways to become a better wholesaler. It just is. It's especially cold calling. If you can make a smile, you can literally, I would say, double your rate of success. Honestly, I would say it almost doubles, because it goes through the phone. It does. It goes through the phone. It changes your tonality. Like, hey, I'm smiling. This is kind of fun now. Like, even if you're getting yelled at, you're like, hey, yeah, I'm smiling through it, so it's good. All right. So smile. That's one. Rule number 2: become an extrovert. And for this is something not completely unique to me, but I have a unique spin on it. And I am under the personal belief, like Rick Ginn, that all people are born introverts, but must put in their reputations in order to become an extrovert. And this applies to all aspects of life. We are social creatures, so we typically seek out to make connections, but unfortunately our nurture from our parents largely dictates how we actually seek out others. So if you had more introverted parents that didn't actually seek out other people, you are more likely to be introverted yourself. If they are very expressing and they have you go on, play dates when you're a kid and they take you to the park and they like you go out all the time, you're going to be typically a little more extroverted. And of course that can change based on things that happen to you, but it's just kind of the repetition things. In order to become an extrovert, which I believe almost anybody can, the easiest and best way is to say your thoughts about other people as you think them, which is very hard. But as you think them, which yet again is very hard. If you see an old lady on the bus and like her hat, you compliment her. You say, "Hey, nice hat." You look over at her and you give her a smile, "Nice hat." And she will probably ran on for that, but you did it. And then let's say that later that day, if you do this, you're easier to talk to the next guy on the street and say, "Hey, nice sunglasses. You like his sunglasses?" And I mean, it doesn't have to be totally positive. You can just say hello to people if you really wanted. But I find compliments are the best. I love complimenting people's dogs as they walk. People walk dogs here around here a lot and everywhere really much. So I'll be like, "Beautiful dog." And the second I do that, they open up to me. They kind of a little nicer. If it's somebody I wanted to talk to, I can ask who they are, not just the dog. I'll ask the dog's name and then their name and stuff. But it makes it easier to talk to people the more you interact with just anybody. So like that old lady was an opportunity on the bus, straight up an opportunity. I've never heard this from anywhere from like a video I found on YouTube like 4 years ago. There was just a dude talking about psychology really, and he said that this is how you prime your brain to be like super social, and it works. It really does. It's changed my life. And if you do this, then later in the day you run into a beautiful potential partner, for example, and you can compliment her shoes, and then before you know it, you and that person are dating. And it does sound dumb, but it really does help drive people's likability up in order to do it for yourself. Keep doing it. See, I kind of forgot. So just that interaction, if you're not like that, if that scares the hell out of you, and it did me first as well, just simply start where you can, and then it resets every day. I'll make a note of that too. But like for example, I like the partner example because we've all been into like a beautiful potential partner, or like somebody that you might even have a crush with, or like somebody from the opposite sex or even the same sex if you're that way, that you think, wow, like it would be awesome if we were dating, like that would be crazy, like, but they're like too hot for me. If you've ever thought that they were too hot for me, or like they were too bad, like good for me thing, if you would have talked to that old lady on the bus and then the dude with the glasses, I know it sounds crazy, I know it does, but if you would have done that, you would have been way more open to talking to her or him. Like you just do. It opens up the shell of a person. And then rule number 3. Never start a cold calling session with warm leads. Always do new leads first. This primes your brain to be ready for the actual leads. So this is one I learned not too long ago, but I would start the day with cold calling people that already had interest, and I had talked to on that first one we talked about earlier. You call the person the first time, and I would call them, or sometimes even my VA would qualify them and know their condition. I would call them first thing in the morning, and all of a sudden they weren't interested in selling anymore, and I was very confused why, and then I was in a bad mood for the rest of the day. But I guarantee it's because I didn't follow the first rule. I wasn't smiling. I had just woken up. I was kind of tired. I was just trying, like, hey, I want to go get money. Let's just go get it. Like, like even there I sound groggy just saying it. Like, but that's not how it should be. You should work your way up to them. Like, always just do new leads first. Just a couple. Even call 5 people and get 1 contact first, or if it takes more to get a contact, do that. And then after that, you'll feel way more better talking to the actual person that you're going to get a deal from. And then rule number 4, you are not in this alone. teamwork makes the dream work. Look and watch different types of streams in order to gain cold call knowledge. We will have more in-depth versions of cold calling within the month, and this is like partially the basics right now though. So yeah, that's really important. Watching other people. Zach does a stream all the time. He used to literally once a week where he would show his cold calls and how he does it in action. If you want to, there's also a phone call mentoring channel in here. We could maybe set up some appointments for people to talk to. If you're still watching this on YouTube, you could join the wholesaling group and you could actually learn a little bit from that, and you can basically get your own feedback from seeing somebody else actually do it, especially if you're newer. Then you're like, I don't know how to navigate this conversation at all. Like, it's very good. Like, if anyone, like, for example, I'm just going to call you out, the two new people, Jay and Mooner. If you guys saw Anthony cold call, you would be astounded. Like, and he wouldn't even think that probably, that he would be, like, at the astounding level, but he is. Like, he's done repetitions, he's done the work, so he knows how to talk to sellers. The more you do the repetitions, the more you can talk, but it's so much easier just to cut the curb and just do the teamwork to make the dream work. And that's how you get money right there. And then I have some tips too. If a phone number is not on the DNC and they do not answer when you pick up, call tomorrow or the next day and call at least 2 times any number that doesn't pick up. I started my first list not doing that. I just called and then went through it, and I don't know if I missed a deal there or not, but I probably did, to be frank. It's not going to get you marked as spam if you call twice. If you call 2, 3, 4 times, maybe. But I also like to give it a day difference because they're not going to really remember the phone number. Like, they will a bit, but they're not going to be like, oh my god, this person again. Like, they just called me, I'm spamming it. Because as soon as your phone is called spammed and marked spam, you're in a really bad spot. So you do not want to make it. I will emphasize the smiling. It makes a huge difference. Here's a good tip for beginners. Use a different name if yours bothers you or if you're kind of nervous, such as Zach. I mean, I have a mentee that is doing very, very well, and they started with not liking their name. They were scared to use their name. They thought I was going to come back to bite them. They also associated themselves as not good enough to do this. So they kind of associated their nickname to Zach, a person that has already done this 1,000 times. So, I mean, it's kind of a little bit of a gray area, but I mean, at the end of the day, they don't care. When someone asks who the buyer is, simply say you're going to buy the property for cash. They don't care who closes it. They just want money. So I will add a caveat to this last one. Later before the contract, because I've never actually done this. I've always used my name. Don't use a long name, and because you're going to have to sign a contract with them, and they're going to see your legal name unless you have somebody else sign it or have a partner sign it. Because if you say, hey, my name is Zach, and then you send in an agreement, and then they say, hey, my name's, it says on there, it's like, hey, my name's actually Brandon, that's going to be a big red flag. And I didn't really think about that, but you definitely can just tell them, hey, it's a nickname, or you can have somebody else, your partner, say, hey, I'm going to give it to my partner, they're going to send it over to you. And if you need somebody helping you send over a contract, I can do it anytime. You can use PandaDocs. They can actually send over unlimited documents too for free. Or the other one that is free is not DocuSign. There's another one if you need, you can message me about. And then we're gonna
RabbitSign.
DocuSign, yeah. Well, it's not the free one though. I'm trying.
RabbitSign.
Okay, it is. Okay. There we go. Anthony got me. Appreciate you, homie. And then we're gonna add the chameleon mode right now. So we're gonna talk about it, and then I'm gonna add it in afterwards. But basically, it's just mimicking the behavior of the person you're talking to, and you should practice this in RL at least a few times when starting out. If you've never done it at RL, for anyone that's watching or hearing this, try to reflect perfectly the tonality and the speed at which somebody else is talking in real life, like a stranger. Don't do it to somebody that you live with and you see every day, because they know what you sound like. They know your tonality. You can't get away with that. But if it's somebody that you've never met, maybe a cashier, maybe like a new acquaintance slash friend, somebody in your college, whatever the case is, try and start a conversation. Just be simple, hello, and then just match as much of them as you can. Just mimic as much as you can. Match the tonality of it. If they sound a little more masculine, try to sound a little more masculine. If they sound a little feminine, try to sound a little more feminine. If they try to talk really, 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 really fast, talk really, really, really fast. If they talk kind of slow, just slow it down. Just do whatever they're doing. If they stand up, you stand up. If they sit, you sit. And just, yeah, at first you're going to think like, wow, that's going to set somebody off, because I've done this in person. But it doesn't actually. They actually like it. It's really weird. It's really weird, but people like people that are like themselves. That's kind of why we like each other. We're all wholesalers. We're all trying to learn the game. So if you can mimic them, just do it and just try practicing it. I mean, even if it's just the tonality and the speed of which you're talking, try it out in real life. It doesn't really work if you just think about it. I've tried it with doing it over sellers, because I talk a little fast. That's why I just try to talk less, which is my tip. If you talk a lot and really fast, just talk less so that it doesn't seem like you're over, stimulating them. And then before you know it, you're going to be like a chameleon. That's how they put it. Like, you're just going to be matching whatever environment you're around. You're going to be getting along with people, and you're going to be doing great. And that should be the conclusion of the basic cold calling. Scripts to come. All right. Is there any final questions? Anything anyone wants to address or talk about or ask? Looking like no.
I'm curious.
Uh-huh.
I have one.
Yeah.
Hello?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, have you ever encountered someone troubling following through, like once they got someone says that they're interested in selling, and for some reason it won't get through that pace?
Oh, that won't get to the actual. Are you talking about the tonality, like the chameleon, or are you talking about the MCTP where they don't want to go through why they want to do everything?
I mean, they show motivation, right?
Uh-huh.
But then they gone through all the qualification,
Mhm.
MPCP, and uh, the motivation is it's kind of there, but
Mhm. Oh, but then it
you can
drops.
kind of, yeah, you can kind of
Mhm.
see that uh what do you
Uh,
call this,
Yes,
the
I had this
motivation
happen
is
to me this week. So
okay.
I had a guy who I calculated the deal. I would have made around 20 grand, probably. And uh, one day, totally into it, totally wanted to sell, thought it was awesome, thought it was a good deal. Smiling bright, everything seemed good. Call him the next day, and I'm like, hey, you still interested in selling? I got those documents ready, and he said no. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm good. And a little, I should add conditioning. I'll add that before here. I didn't condition him properly, and maybe that's why I lost it. So this kind of helps prevent that uh, conditioning. So asking a seller to make a decision the next time you talk with either a yes or no confirmation, i.e., if I call you tomorrow with a contract to buy the place, can you give me either a yes or no answer? So I didn't do that with this person. It seemed kind of cool, and I'll be honest, they were kind of. I was a little skeptical of them anyways. They had just fully renovated the place, and I was like, why the fuck are you selling? I was like, you just renovated it. You spent like so much money, and you're gonna sell it for less than you probably put into like everything. And I think they just really wanted the cash like immediately, and they probably realized like, hey, I can just not do that
Get more.
after. Like they made a decision in the moment of like the greed of like, hey, I want the money now, but then they
Mm.
changed their mind later, which it does happen. But if you condition somebody by asking them to make a decision next time you talk, either give them a yes or no answer, and kind of pin them to that. Maybe you could say promise, promise me, can you give me a yes or no answer so I don't waste your time? And if you frame it through that way so that you're being empathetic to them, that hey, I don't want to waste my time, I don't want to waste your time, they'll be usually open to giving you a yes or no. And if they don't the next time, they either weren't fully trusting of you, because I've had that happen before, or they weren't really actually as motivated as they said, and they're gonna go with a realtor now. That's like the two usual examples, the typical ones. There might be off ones, but yeah. So I mean,
Yeah.
if you had that happen, don't feel bad, man. It happens.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah. I'm just curious because I just got that recently too. That's why I'm
Uh,
curious.
yeah, I get you.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Munar, I think you were gonna ask a question. I saw you like let it bit.
Yeah. Okay. It's kind of off topic, but at the same time, it's about like wholesaling. Okay. So basically, right now, I want to start marketing as soon as possible. It's just like
Correct.
I know what to do, but at the same time, I'm like confused and I don't. If that makes sense.
Okay. We're gonna post a link, or I'm gonna post on this channel a link to the last session we had last Friday, where I kind of went over the basics of like some of the terminology and signing and assigning a contract and the process of actually carrying it from start to finish. It won't help you exactly with the conversation. That's gonna be more of an in-depth thing, and I can send you videos to learn from it. We don't have that quite up yet for my videos. But I mean, do you know how to like no offense here, but do you know how to like sign a contract and like what you would put on it and everything?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I
Okay.
understand like basically how to wholesale, like the fundamentals of it and like
Hmm.
the step by step process. But the thing is, I don't understand how to pull the lists from X leads and like how to add it to the CRM and how to. That's is what I'm
hmm
confused about. But everything else, like
Okay. I can I
I
can
have a
help you with
kind of
that.
understanding.
Yeah, I got you. Um, do you have? Let me just ask before we end the stream real quick. Anyone else? But I'm gonna address this real quick. Are these lists you are pulling from or getting from X leads or trying to get, or are these your own lists that you're trying to like skip trace and figure out? Just so I know what I'm walking into.
No, I never pulled the list yet. It's like from the X leads
Okay.
itself, like from my
I
local
got you.
market.
I can call you in a bit and share the screen and I'll just show you how to do it.
Perfect. That would be amazing.
Yeah, I got you. Does anyone else
Join.
have any questions?
Can I join to that?
Yeah, that's a question. I'll comment. I think Zana and Anthony are good. I'm going to conclude Friday's live stream, and I'm gonna add this and do this a little bit before I call you guys. So give me like half an hour ish. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Let's make some money. Let's be healthy, and let's make the world better. Goodbye.
Thank you.